Hello everyone, and I welcome you all to this Tech Talk. And my name is Adnan Amin, and I am Microsoft MVP for almost 5 years now, since 2015, and I am a Microsoft certified trainer for almost 11 years. We are going to start this Tech Talk, जहाँ मेरे साथ कुछ जो है पाकिस्तानी एक्सपर्ट जो कि मुख्तलिफ कंट्रीज के अंदर हैं और माइक्रोसॉफ्ट एमवीपीज भी हैं और डिफरेंट कंट्रीज में काम कर चुके हैं तो आज ये जो है वी आर टेकिंग ऑफ दिस टेक टॉक एंड वी विल बी डूइंग मल्टीपल इवेंट्स इन फ्यूचर जहां हम लोग डिफरेंट टॉपिक्स के ऊपर और पाकिस्तान इंडस्ट्री के लिए हम लोग काम करेंगे डिस्कशंस करेंगे और हाउ वी कैन बूस्ट अप द न्यू कमर्स इन द इंडस्ट्री with me today is Jerry Yasir and Shakir Majeed. Jerry is in USA and Shakir in Australia right now. And there are a few other members who are missing this call today, but they will be joining us soon, and I will also introduce them to you guys very soon. So over to you, Yasir. You can tell us about you and your journey and with Microsoft and tech community.
Sure. Assalamu alaikum, and thank you guys for inviting me for this meeting. I've been really itching to do something like this for a long time. It's an honor that we're connecting with all the great Pakistani guys who are not only MVPs but also good community folks that want to do good for the community. So again, thank you. My name is Jerry Yasir. I am Microsoft MVP for Office Apps and Services. I was the SharePoint guy back in the days. I was the SharePoint guy. I think one of the things that I like to mention that back in 2006, I was the first person to actually ever do a community event in Pakistan, in Lahore especially. There were used to be events in Pakistan, in Karachi mostly, but I did an event for SharePoint 2007 launch. I remember forgot the name of that company where we did that. But I've been MVP for 11 years. I just got renewed, so thanks to Microsoft. I used to work in different software houses in Pakistan. I started in my major career boost was done in eWorks International. Not sure if you guys heard it. It
I
was a
heard
big,
about it.
yeah. So it was a big Microsoft software house at that time. Really helped me boost my career, especially around SharePoint, Project Server, .NET. It was great to work there. Then I worked in the other house that was Xaver, I think XAVOR.
Yeah,
Pretty famous software house.
still
Eventually, I
famous.
moved over to Saudi Arabia. I worked there in the company Ijada, which is a large IT company there, and eventually moved to US. And I worked for DXC Technology as an Office 365 architect. My daily work involved working around SharePoint, Office 365, Azure AD, PowerShell, Power Apps. So it's a different type of daily routine. There's nothing same. Almost every day is different. So my technical background is coming from developer. So not only involved in the IT pro side, but also in the developer side. I have managed a team that handles custom development for SharePoint using SPFX, AngularJS, and tons of other types of technologies. So that's a quick introduction. I would then pass the ball to Shakir. Shakir, go ahead.
Yeah, so actually I'm outside, so you might hear some noise, background noise. So yeah, so let me start off. So my name is Shakir Majeed Khan, and I've been working in SharePoint world for like 13, 14 years now. Yeah, and again, I started my career back in Karachi, and I've been to multiple software houses like multiple software houses, companies around till now. I've been to 13, 14 companies till now. Yeah, and from Karachi, I worked in Galsoft. Then I moved to Middle East. I worked then again in Galsoft Middle East. Then in then in I worked in Qatar as well. I worked in Dubai. I worked in Oman. And after spending like 5, 6 years over there, then I moved to Sydney back in 2017. I'm working as a senior consultant, mainly focused on SharePoint World and Office 365. And yeah, so right now I'm focusing mainly on Office Power Platform, which and mainly on Power Apps and Power Automate. Yeah, and I used to run a SharePoint user group, SharePoint techies, and I've done like multiple user group session. I've been in touch with the Yasir as well. We've done like couple of online session, and which was very great. It's kind of a success that I haven't heard or seen in recent time, because we done kind of online and on in a campus, and we attracted around like around 200 people over there, and it's kind of a very it's kind of a successful event, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and recently I'm trying to put up some YouTube content. So I'm making my own YouTube videos and trying to share what I am learning so far on our platforms and different aspects. Yeah, so this is for my side.
Great. So, Adnan, go ahead and tell us, exactly, where do you work you had never told us exactly how you started.
Actually, because I born in interior Sindh, in a city called Nawabshah, then moved
Mm-hmm.
to Hyderabad where I did my graduation, and then moved to Karachi. And
Okay.
Karachi and I only visited Karachi at that time for, a couple of times only. But I started work in a company named this Computer Research after rejecting almost 35 interviews. So
Sure.
because I have a different technical background at that time, and the Karachi was very fast in technology at that time. And but when I started my job in the very first country, I got four appraisals in the very first year. Within the same year, I promoted to as a senior software engineer in that company. Then I moved to Calsoft in 2006 and worked there for next couple of years, and then moved to because the whole team moved to one by one to Avenza, and Avenza and the same department was acquired by Calsoft again.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, because almost they are different companies, but almost my journey was with the same group of people. And in parallel to that, I started as a trainer at Sasai University with AUC Asadullah Chaudhry,
Mm-hmm.
and there I have given trainings to a couple of people, and I come to know about Shakir from there, from Usama I know from there, and
Mm-hmm.
you might know Atif Hussain. He was also a former MVP. Asadullah Chaudhry was also a MVP, former MVP. Zia Khan was a former MVP. So we all were working together at Sasayed at that time, and
Yeah, I think
then
that you just mentioned the name that Khurram or Athar. I think he's very
Asadullah
active
Chaudhry,
in the. Yes, he's very very active in the
project
university.
management.
Yeah,
Yep.
so yeah, he does lots of. He used to do lots of events before all this COVID-19, and I always see his pictures. I think he's moved to Islamabad. Last time I see, he's on my Facebook. So maybe we should
He's in
invite him.
Karachi.
He's in Karachi
Actually,
now.
he's in Karachi, but because he is too much busy with on PMP trainings earlier he was doing trainings within Pakistan and outside, but now the online world is totally changing all the trainers and all the way of future way of funding.
Yep, sure.
So then I worked in a company which was started by an ex-colleague named Inseab, which is on the data sciences base. And
Mm-hmm.
there I was one of the lead developer from the Microsoft side. And I started working on SharePoint in 2009. At the start of 2009, and more, you can say that at the end of 2008. Before that, I have worked on PHP, C Sharp.net, VB.net, and ASP.net. And after that, my journey continues, and I moved to Lahore for a company named OnPoint,
Mm-hmm.
which is a US-based company, and we are working remotely. And from there, I moved to FMT Consulting, which is also a US-based company for almost 2 years, or less than 2 years, and then uh, I was rehired by PCM, which acquired OnPoint, and now I'm working with PCM for almost for last 3 years or 2.5 years,
Hmm.
and working with Fortune 500 companies, and most of the customers are Fortune 500 companies. So it's totally a different experience because I worked with the customers from US, from UAE, US, and Pakistan. So I have experience of working with different type of customers, and with different commitments from by the sales teams, and so so it's totally different experience of working with US for past almost 5 years now, or over 5 years, and then I became MVP in 2015 for the very first time,
Yeah.
which is also a big mark for me because I moved to Lahore and I do not know anybody at that time in Lahore, only except a few friends. But I get involved with the community in different events. Microsoft also helped me on engaging me on some of the events, and then I became MVP. And I was MCT earlier, and in 2012, Microsoft have given me MCT Regional Lead Award based because I was one of the regional lead for IAMCT, which is a European MCT community. So I become MCT regional lead for almost 5 years, and then now MVP is going on. My MVP wasn't renewed in 2017, but I get it back in within 5 to 6 months.
That's great. Yeah.
So it's like that because you know that there was renewal pending in 3 days, 5 days back,
You're
and
back.
I was
Yeah.
very much worried that either I will get it back or not, and I was preparing myself to if something went wrong, I need to be prepared to get it back very soon.
Sure. It's
But
always 1st of July is always a tricky
yeah,
day. It was used to be April 1st, but I remember my first MVP. I woke up on, and I had no idea that I will be an MVP. I was doing community events in Saudi Arabia a lot, and I think at the same time, back in 2009 when me and Shakir met online, and we used to run the SharePoint user Riyadh SharePoint user group, and it was one of the most active community in there. We were doing events every 2 weeks or 3 weeks, all in-house. Like people were coming like crazy, they're flocking. We used to do 3 hours event with speakers and guests and gifts from Microsoft. We had our mentor was Amar Abu Thuraya from Microsoft Saudi. Great guy. He actually provided us all the stuff at that time that you need in a community. We were giving, would you believe, we were giving boxes and boxes of stuff, and we actually, um, you know, I would not say that we used it to get attention, but people really loved that community work in Saudi Arabia, and it evolved the community concept or user group concept in Saudi Arabia and Middle East overall. People came together, people met, and we helped bring more young blood into the community. And this is, I think, one is missing um, with COVID-19, because now nobody can actually go and meet people. I think it's a great chance for us to connect and get the fear out. We should bring guys like Shakir who are starting to do some events, bring them on board, bring some young, invite somebody like a good college graduate who's about to get done, bring him in and tell him exactly how, um, you know, exactly how to start his career. I haven't done, I've done mentoring for lots of guys, trained them in the past. So, I think that will definitely help us and our guys in Pakistan. But now let's switch on to Shakir. So Shakir, tell us about yourself.
Yeah,
How's your day?
yeah, yeah. Sorry. What you are asking? Yep.
So I'm saying that, how was your, how's your day? What do you do normally? What kind of work you do in
Yeah.
daily?
Basically, my mobile battery is draining off, so it
Sure.
might gonna be I might gonna lose any time. Yeah. So my day is just like a regular day. I'm working like as a 9 to 5 job, and in my spare time, I'm trying to update myself. That's it. Yeah. So guys, I'll catch you back after after this meeting, and yeah. So see you later because my
Sure.
mobile battery is almost gone. Yeah.
No problem. Thank you very much for
Thank you.
joining again.
Thank you so much, Shakir.
It's great for you to actually come back later of the day on Sunday. So enjoy
Yeah.
your weekend, and hopefully you will have another session in a couple of weeks. He's done. All right, so me
Yeah.
and you only. So, while we are here, so let me tell you the thing that I've been working today, and maybe it's help somebody else. So, one of our customer is we build an app for COVID-19 tracking. So one day I was invited to a call, and they had when somebody shared his screen, there was an SharePoint list in front of me. Its name was COVID-19 tracking, and they said, this is a list, and we want you to create a form for us, and this form will be used for tracking the COVID-19 and its related things in for our customers, our employees. And I said, okay, can you help us on that? Sure. I said, let's customize. I thought it's like a small team who's doing it, not the whole company. So, and I've just been dragged into a meeting, not even invited. Like, hey, we know somebody named Jerry, we can bring him in. And I just went in. I said, let's create a form, and I customized that form. And there were like 50 fields in there. So I added logic, added some flows in it, um, and in next 2 months we realized that they are actually using that list company wide. The company has 60, 70,000 employees. So they're tracking all the activities. Somebody got sick, somebody got like little bit of headache, or somebody showed signs that are going towards COVID-19, or getting the virus or flu, or my friend got flu, or my family got flu. Farm got extended. So the funny thing is that the form was working fine until recently. So the user can create a new item without any problem. But then if you go and edit an existing form or survey, they call it, the none of the drop down on that form works. Like they just stopped working. So out of like 100 people who are using it every day, agents and management, few people are starting to see that the drop down never loads. They can't do anything on the form. So I opened a ticket with Microsoft after doing all I could, and they came up back and said, hey, because you are using custom forms in Power Apps, you are only allowed to have like 2,000 items. After 2,000 items, it will continue to give this problem, and we can't do anything about it.
Oh,
So I told him, this is not acceptable. We need to find something to actually resolve it. So we did some changes to the form, and I think I can mention those changes. So if you have a SharePoint custom form using Power App, you can actually you can remove the default action, the default display mode of the form from new to edit. So that's one thing we did. And then we also increased the max records, the rows count from 500 to 2,000. And the solution that Microsoft provided us is to make sure that the users who having issue clear their browser cache. So if you're having issues, just clear your browser cache, refresh, and the issue will not happen again.
so
So
just a question here. Sorry to interrupt. Okay, so are they having the lookup fields which in crossing the 2000 limit, or these are the least number of list items on where the items are submitting?
so the good thing is we don't have any single lookup on the form. The form has around 30 drop downs, and they're only choices. So um, there are all columns of choice, and there are choices coming directly from SharePoint list. There are, I think, only two non-lookup based drop downs. Like we have a couple of lists in there which shows like regions and sites and departments. So when the
Hmm.
user select the site, it loads the departments, and when you pick up the department, it will pick up the sub value for that. But the funny thing is that one thing this happens, none of the drop down works. So if there is a drop down, let's say your shift, work shift. So the form will show you an X next to that selected item, or the selected record. And then if you press X, there will be no drop down. It will be a text box, and everything will be disabled. So worked with Microsoft this morning for like few hours, and eventually just send an email to our manager saying, hey, make sure you clear your cache. And that solution I already provided. I said, if you clear the cache, and the response was, I can't just clear cache every time I use this page. So, it was funny, but I thought maybe I should share. If somebody else is using custom form with a SharePoint list, don't do that. Stop and create a full Power App. Microsoft guys told me, if you would have started with the Power App, you would never have this problem. So hopefully on Monday, I will connect with the guys and start building a full-fledged Power App.
So that's something which only we can face when we are working. We are working directly with the customers or working on the solution, because these are the scenarios which are not available on the blogs or something, because these are the technical scenarios. And yeah, I just want to add a point here that why I started blogging
Hmm.
back in 2007. I only blog. Do you remember that there was Microsoft Spaces were introduced in 2007 or 8,
Yep,
which then Microsoft removed, and we need to move content.
yep,
So I was very used to on adding, because I was learning SharePoint at that time, because I was very new at the end of 2008 when we were working on MOS 2007.
yeah,
And we were
exactly.
most of the time we were doing what we were doing, that we are doing custom development. Everyone was, and at that time I was not having an idea why we are doing everything custom development, because
Yeah,
the tool is already providing so many things.
yep,
And that is something which could be could be for the user friendly interface, but from the business perspective, is it required or not? But we have most of the customers having the requirement to have rich UI. That's why we are developing those custom web parts, and we
yep,
get stuck into different scenario issues. So I started blogging at that time, or just not blogging, like just we are doing status updates
yep,
on Facebook or on Twitter. So if there is a useful link, because I cannot bookmark at that time everything, because I having a long list of bookmarks which I hardly use ever.
yep,
So what I do, I started saving those links on my space and writing in 2 lines, so that I can, or if did some solution like the scenario which like you mentioned, I started writing that up for myself. After some time I realized that, because that if I publish, I start publishing this thing for the others also.
yep,
And that giving me too much positive feedback, because at the start when in back in 2006, 6 or 7, I have written my first blog. That was my research paper,
yep,
which for MS, and which I published. And after almost 8 to 9 months, I published something which was actually some copied content, but I added the reference URL also, because
yeah,
at that
sure,
time the meaning of the blog, for my and then something which is on your blog.
yep,
But I after that I realized that this is not my content. This
yep,
is the property of some other content. So if you have to write something, that should be on your words and
exactly,
should be your write up. So what I am most of the time, what I am doing in blog, I'm not writing for for anyone. I'm writing for myself,
yep,
to remember myself, that because the scenarios which I face, because there are a couple of things during even installation of SharePoint forms and which we face, and sometimes we face those things, and sometimes we do not face those things. But after even there were few things, I was searching for some PowerShell script, I think 2 3 months back, and the script which came on search was my own script, which I have written,
yes,
uploaded on TechNet back in 2014 or 15, and that was fulfilling my requirement.
yep,
So
exactly,
that was the power of that, the sharing, and it has been downloaded over 30,000 times or something like that.
yep,
So
yeah,
these are the things
which will
which
make a
also,
difference. Yep,
yeah. So so that's my personal motive, is that I am not sharing for anyone only. It's also for myself, to
sure,
to keep remember myself, because the scenario which you mentioned, if I write up that thing, or you write up that thing, that could be helpful for many others. But because I work, being a technical side and being a developer on SharePoint for couple of for past many years, we reach out many scenarios and take alternatives of many limitations.
yep,
But we do not write the everything that could be helpful for others. like minimizing the issue of 5,000 threshold characters. Everyone have faced that issue, and there are
Yep.
many alternatives which have been used. Even in my previous company, we faced that issue that the list having over 1 lakh items or something like that, and there is a service which pushing the item from CRM, and we have a teammate who written a custom script, and what it was doing, it's fetching the information from the search query and displaying it in a way that user will see that it's just a SharePoint list,
Yep.
but that is actually not a SharePoint list. Because I was not the writer of that script and I haven't used in the code, but that was something which need to be published on the internet, and for the many others, because these are the requirements for everyone.
Yep, maybe we
So
should invite him. If you build the app, maybe we should invite him and come and show us exactly how he did that. And maybe it is something that can be reused, because not many people use search. I work with somebody in Pakistan, in Karachi, and he is specializes in search. And anything that, one of the examples that he did was, one of the customer wants to show navigation, so or the subsites from the SharePoint site. So he pinged me. He said, I want to get all the subsites. So I said, you can do a REST query, and say if subweb value of the subsite is there, and URL contains site slash, it means it's a subsite. He said, no, I want you to search. So is there anything I can utilize? Say if I make a search query, I say, yeah, is subweb or it's a subsite. I said, yes, there is a property that you can use that identifies if a site is subsite. So he actually did that using the content search web part and with the display template. So I said, you could have done the same with SPFX or something. And he said, is there anything I can utilize to make my life easy? So I said, why don't you use the modern content search web part and then customize the template?
uh, yeah.
So he said, "Oh, let me take a look at it." And he came back a few days ago and he said, "Oh, that suggestion worked. Instead of using the custom display template using classic search, I used the modern search web part, and it really helped because I was able to bring the values and show like a employee directory kind of subsite. So all the subsites were showing the first letter of their words, and I was clicking on it and seeing all the subsites. So that was example. So we need to bring these guys in, pick them up.
Actually, there are a couple of scenarios being in, because you are an MVP for almost 11 years now,
Yep.
and I'm also in the industry for almost 15 years, and MVP for 5 years. And sometimes people expect too much from us also. And when I was working with one of some young colleagues, and I was guiding something, because I've been working on SharePoint for many years, and I only do specific type of development. I do not feel comfortable myself for doing some other things. Like
Yep.
if I can achieve something with PowerShell, I will prefer PowerShell instead of writing something else or doing client-side scripting.
Yep.
So one of my junior was working with something. I give him, just like you mentioned that there's a property on SP Web on search. So I guided him some few things which could be possible. Like using a workflow, you can check that if we can break the security inheritance, create a security group, new security group, and add users to that one,
Mm-hmm.
and create. So for me, if I'm going to do that using SharePoint workflows, that could be a nightmare for me, because I will never be going for that one, because that was junior and he listened me, and he was not having the idea that what could happen. He have idea that I'm sitting there and I will be helping him, and you will not believe that he found out the REST calls for all those, and started executing the REST calls. He's stuck on several places, and I just guided him for a few things, that check these alternatives based on my experience,
Mm-hmm.
and in the end he created that whole solution, which breaking the inheritance and creating security groups, new adding user to those groups, and without any hurdle, because once he started using the REST calls, and after that I was looking to that those REST calls, that how those are working,
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
haven't used those things. So these are the things that youngsters, because they do not have the whole knowledge of the product, and they are ready to explore everything.
Sure.
And because we having the experience, we don't want to touch some of the areas where we are not comfortable. We always
Sure.
look the areas where we are comfortable. So this is that's why the young blood which is coming in the industry is very needful to to check the alternate options like the search one. I might not, I might never go with the search thing
Yep.
personally.
Exactly.
I am
Yep.
writing something because I know that I can achieve it from this way. So I do not need these things.
Yeah, the time of WSPs is gone. So now you can't do
Yeah,
that. So this is the time either of using the modern development using SPFX, which I do sometimes. The customers come back and say, one of the requirement that many of our customers are asking, like, there's no there's no content editor web part. There is no, how can I add, like few days ago, somebody came and said, how can I add I have a list on one of my SharePoint sites. It shows the products, and I want to create page for every product, but I want to display dynamic information for that product without actually creating. So he created a page template. He said there is a web part on it. I want to filter the values of those web parts using the query string. So I said, why don't you just create a page for each product and then link it using the URL? He said, no, it's difficult because I used to have this in content query, and in content query I can pass the parameters of using query string. And I said, oh, I would rather not do that because the modern content page editors are the modern page design is much flexible. You can create the product page and then link
clearly.
it using the URL. It's a lot easy. So, but he said, if you can give us that, and I looked at it. Currently, we don't have any option available to read content query using modern web parts. So I asked one of my developers to look at the source code from GitHub and see if we can dynamically read the value of query string and add it in the properties of the web part. So he's currently working on it, and maybe once it's done, I will probably fork it out of the GitHub and post it there. So if someone else wants to use it, you do that. He can reuse it, kind of. So
Actually,
it's
this is, yeah.
the one thing I was about to mention. I forgot to say it. I wrote my first blog in 2002. It was about SharePoint. And this was my first ever blog. It was not a blog. I think it was like a step-by-step guide on how to configure audiences. Would you believe audiences in SharePoint were pretty much heavily used back at that time, especially in SharePoint 2003, earlier SharePoint 2003 and 2001. So I wrote an article which was like 2 page long, and it just showed how you can use audience to create an audience and then apply the audience to a web part. And I remember the response was from my colleagues of like, wow. There was a online community there. Um, and I received like 1,000 comments on those. And it was like
Wow.
writing a help article. So the, anybody who's starting his career, I think it's very important that you take your ideas and do it. Copy pasting is not something that you should do, of course, but a blog is perfect way. Even if writing your personal feelings, this is how I felt working in a software house.
Totally agree.
My team lead came and gave me all the work that he is supposed to do, but write about it, write about your feelings. um, Read and writing really helps your career. So I started with writing. I used to write lots of blog posts. Now I technically don't have time to actually write posts, but I think I feel comfortable in kind of recording those and publishing it. So this is my alternate, this meeting that I'm seeing, if we can find more and more guys, that will help. I think a quick conversation talking about something will definitely help. So we should in future pick up topic and
I'm coming
based
to
on the
that point.
expertise. Yeah. So I'd say, let's say switching over from client side object model of SharePoint towards PnP, or using the SharePoint community kit, or using the modern SharePoint pages. We should keep our discussion as simple as possible, but also as also cover the advanced topics as well.
Actually, this is there because one of the mm, points which I have listed on at my end, that the purpose of the meeting could be that how we can evolve the Pakistan IT industry, because you are sitting outside and I'm here in Pakistan, how you guys are looking to the industry of Pakistan and how I can see from here. But and also what could be the suggestions which we already discussed few, that and in future we will be engaging youngsters on different discussions here on this forum. And the one thing regarding the power of the blogging and these things here, because we do not know that whatever we are mm, facing, it could
Yep.
be faced by hundreds of people.
Yes.
I have written a script on fetching the information of all the documents into a CSV file,
Yep.
because I got a requirement for that one. Because of the migrations, you know that for migration we need to run couple of checklist report for as a pre-migration, and there was a couple of requirements for which we have I have written, me and my colleagues have, we have written couple of PowerShell scripts, like fetching all the documents and looking to their extensions or some other properties, even moving even in ShareGate we can also move flatten the folder hierarchy. So during that I have written a PowerShell script which is fetching all the information from a site, all the
Mm-hmm.
documents, so we can get the exact number, their size, and even the version details. And I after when I got my first MVP, at that time I published that script on TechNet.
Yep.
I was having no intention that that get viral, and
Yep.
that script is still in on the top 10 of SharePoint category on TechNet till
Nice.
today,
Yep. Yep. Great.
and after many years. And I was searching something as I mentioned earlier, I was searching something, and there's a book came up in PowerShell in 24 hours, and on
Mm-hmm.
Google, it opened in Google browser and in PDF format, and there was a page which listing that the script, and I was just looking to that one.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a blogger, Adnan Amin, who writes at mstechtalk.com. He
Yes.
had published a wonderful script, and
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't having an idea that what he have done, that my script was outputting the CSV file, or grid view file. What he have done, that he have executed another PowerShell command which is further filtering that output. I was
Yep.
doing all the filtration on the Excel file, but he just using PowerShell. That's also a new thing, that how we can further we can play with the PowerShell. But that script was published in that book, and that was very. I feel very proud at that time that wow, it got
Yes.
published
Exactly.
in a book. And one of my colleague who is sitting in Silicon Valley, he mentioned, I have his WhatsApp message. He mentioned that uh, he shared the link with me, that is this your script? I
Yeah.
told him
Sure.
yes.
Yeah.
He told me that we got that script from a customer, and we paid uh, around half a million dollars for that one, because we're having a business requirement, and we need something like that. And Minka, how you come to know that it's my script? Because that is
Mm.
published on TechNet, anyone can use.
Yep.
So he mentioned that because of few of the variables having the same name.
Sure.
So
Yes.
so
I
these are
wrote lots of crazy PowerShell scripts. I'll probably share some of you. I worked for a large IT migration for a large company that's in the news these days. So the script was that the company, I think it will take a couple of minutes, but the idea was that the company had around 3 or 4 terabytes of site collections, which were actively used, and they will be migrated from one tenant to another. One of the things that they were doing is that they were using hash character in their file names, like thousands and thousands of files have hash in it. So the customer came back and said the migration using Metalogics was failing. uh, the Metalogics could not pick the file name that has hash in it, and it failed to migrate it. So they said, "Can we do something about it? Can we just fix it?" Like, so they asked me to do it. So there are thousands of document libraries in there. So I created a PowerShell script to actually go and find all those files which has hash and percent sign, and replace them with the dash character. So the funny thing is that they wanted to do a reverse engineering after the migration. So first, I had to change all the file names from hash to dash,
Oh,
and then after the migration, I had to reverse engineering. So, but I didn't knew that. So I got all the list of files, I renamed it, and just out of curiosity, I created an Excel file using the import Excel module. And once I exported it to Excel, I had an idea. Maybe let me just save the old file name in there, and I saved it to that Excel file. The first report that came for the root site collection, which was like 3 or 4 terabytes, there were 30,000 files, documents with the hash in it, and the customer, all the files were renamed. Some of them were not because they were checked out. So I gave the report, and customer migrated everything. It was happy. And one day I received a call. I said, "Hey, we now want to rename those files back." And I was like, "Excuse me, I never stay. I don't have the name of the file." So he said, "No, no, no, no. In your Excel file, there is a column called old file name." So I said, "You have old file name?" They said, "Yeah, you have the path, you have old file name, you have file a document ID, you have all of these fields." And I unintentionally put those values in there. And then I use the same Excel file as an input, and I reverse engineering the same code. So it's exactly the same code. Get all the files using the same Excel file, find the file with the new name, and rename, set it back to the old name. So it was funny. I'll share that script with you. I think I put it on my blog some time ago. But there are so many examples that maybe we should, lots of people who will hear this talk, if somebody ever will, but um, they might not know that you can use CSOM, you can use PnP, um, or what is the difference between using PowerShell, SharePoint Online Management Shell, or PnP PowerShell. um, you know, uh, this transition, how it happens, because it definitely helps, and it
I
really
think we
makes
can. Yeah, I think we can coordinate couple because we have some very good techie people around us. So we
yep,
can coordinate in future. We can what we can do that we can engage them on multiple events, like based on because right now the time which we have selected today is based on that that we tried that everyone could join in at that time
yeah,
because it's over midnight for you. It's almost three. It's
yeah,
almost
it's
three
3 a.m.
p.m.
right now. Yeah,
3 a.m. for you now, and bit earlier for me because I work I also work on Eastern time zone.
yep,
So and bit late for some other guys because this is the only time slot which we got because we having people from five
different
different countries
zones.
and
Yes,
three
exactly.
even three different continents.
Yes, we have Shakir and Tariq Younis, who's also Tariq is Azure MVP.
Yeah,
He is in New Zealand. Shakir is in Australia, and then we have Usama Wahab, who's also, I think, Azure MVP, and he's in
in
Dubai. So
UAE. Yeah.
UAE. So yeah, I think the whole idea is that we connect people from different areas. So, but again, I suggest that we pick up some other topic for in next couple of weeks. It was a great discussion.
Actually, the thing which I noticed because you might have seen that on LinkedIn and on Facebook because we are following each other there. That in past 7 to 8 months, I got a bit active with the community
Hmm.
because I did some couple of events with the community, and I have seen a big gap between student with the academia and the profession industry
That's true.
because when I submit a topic with in some conference that is very technical,
Yeah.
and what happened that when I go there and speak on that topic, everyone was looking at me like looking at my face that what keywords I am using.
Yes. Exactly.
So the thing that's why I recently have restarted my YouTube channel and but I haven't posted much on that one and because I will be posting things on that one because I get the queries which I get because everyone have already shared with different lot many content on YouTube for how to how to videos and things like that. But people is still looking for those.
Yes.
Because because even I tell you my example, that if I need to learn about adaptive cards, and I go to search on YouTube that what are adaptive cards, and I see a video which is published 3 years back, so I might not be interested to look to that video,
Yes.
because things are getting changed every day, and I might be looking to the video which is published 5 days back, or in last month. So that, because earlier my personal opinion was to write very technical things, like the PowerShell script which I have published. If I started sharing with the community, no one will read that.
Yes.
In
Exactly.
only specific people. But now I'm targeting to get the youngsters on that page, that they can join us from here, because the technical session which I have given with local community in Pakistan were very basic, but I got more feedback from them, that we learned something from that session, instead of those sessions which for me are technical things, and I'm giving a solution
Yes.
of any specific area to them. So because then because they were not looking for those things, that
Hmm.
what are the issues with if I think 6 years back I have given a session on the pre-migration tips and tricks to the audience, and no one was interested in why we need
Yes,
these things,
because they are not
because
exposed to that information.
because I was told that the audience will be the technical industry,
Yep.
and there were few tech guys, but they were not doing migrations, so
Yep.
they were not having idea and not feeling comfortable with that what I am telling them. So
Correct.
my feedback was that the session was very tough and out of their minds. So the thing which I noticed, even in recently, if you check all the online events which are going on, most of the topics were very simple, and they get better audience, because most
Yeah.
of the people are joining those events are the newcomers in the industry,
Sure.
not the professionals.
If you're still connected with the student community, I think we can use the same. Maybe timing will be a little bit awkward, but um, if
Will be.
6 hours, 8 hours, or 10 hours from now, it will be like 3:12 Eastern. So anytime we can do lots of introductory sessions for our students, introduction to PowerShell, introduction to client side development,
Yeah,
introduction to Angular JS, or Angular as overall framework, introduction to building SPFX web parts, setting up SharePoint environments, like not on-prem. I mean, creating a basics of Azure, something that we can do. We have Azure MVPs. They can talk about some of the basics. So, students can be our target as well. I definitely believe that there is tons of gap between once you finish your college or degree and then you go to IT. I think I do remember my first day back in 2000, 2001 when I went to job after my hello hi to my lead. He said, "Hey, honestly, you haven't studied anything in college, so the only thing you know is .NET programming or C Sharp or Visual Basic. So we don't do Visual Basic, we do object orientation." And he brought me to the board and said, "This is how we do it in the real world." So definitely, I am more than
this
willing
happened
to
with
help.
me.
Yeah,
Actually, this
exactly.
happened with me, which, as I told earlier, that I was rejected for almost 35 interviews.
Hmm.
Why I was rejected? The issue is not that because I'm from interior Sindh or something like that, because I do not know the things which they are working on, and they
Exactly.
need a resource who can start working from next day.
Yes.
They are not the institutions who will be preparing me for them. So what happened that with those interviews, I come to know about the terms and technologies the industry using. I started studying those things, and
Yes.
that effort paid off me after that,
Yeah.
because I
Exactly.
know so many things which are what a SQL injections procedures, what is data sets in .NET, area.NET, how it get connected.
Yep.
So those are the questions which I get, and I was just looking that I got 3.5 GPA in university. I learned about detail logic, compiler
Yes.
construction,
Yes. No.
and
No. Those
if they
those those
ask
values doesn't work in the real world.
and
Yes.
even if they ask something technical about compiler construction and things, I was just like, I haven't studied that thing,
Yes. I
because it's
remember. I remember I had an interview back in 2001. Um, in Lahore, there used to be, near the, the IT center where you buy computers. What is the name of that place? It's
Happy
been some
Center.
time. Yeah, Hafiz
Happy
Center.
Center.
There was a software building before Hafiz Center, and I went there and I went to the meeting. He said, "Hello, how are you, and everything." And his first question to me was, "What is DCOM?" And I was like, "What DCOM?" I had no idea what DCOM was. He said, "If you don't know DCOM, you don't know nothing." And he asked us like 10 questions, and I had no idea what he was saying. And he was referred to be me by somebody. He said, they are looking for a developer. And he asked me like 20 questions, and I didn't know anything. And he said, "I think you're not fit." And I was still in college. So I was okay. I took notes. I went back and did some research. And I bought my first .NET book. Uh, the red book that was called The Introduction to .NET Framework. And I read that book in next couple of weeks, and I went for the interview, and then everything changed. So taking notes during the interview is again one of the key things for a student. Somebody who's new, take notes, understand your mistakes, don't worry about it. Yes, you will
I
be
think there should be
destroyed.
actually there should be recordings available for the interviews, initial interviews, so
Yes,
that would be motivation for the newcomer that how we were at that time.
yeah,
Because
we
if
should, or which what should do, we should bring in a young comer and break him and start breaking him and then record it and then say, okay, we just break you. Look, this is an example of how you will be uh, treated in an interview right after college.
actually
So,
when I started taking interviews, I was very harsh on the newcomers,
hmm
asking them, and even the people who having 1 to 2 years experience. I always discuss very tough questions with them that so that they cannot answer. Um, Once one of my serious senior was sitting with me, and after the interview, he told me that sit here,
yeah,
and he tell that we need to hire a person. We do not do the investigation. We
yes,
need to check that either a person can work or not. So those
yeah,
are the few things that we need to hire a person, and we need to get that he either he can work or not,
yeah,
and
exactly.
we can judge these things with a single from 1 or 2 questions, even with the gesture that either he's a useful resource or not.
Yes,
And after
exactly.
that my interviews are getting totally changed, that I always check that if person is can't speak properly, because even I was at the initial interviews, I having very dull interaction. Even till today, whenever I'm starting an event or something, I get I feel uncomfortable that how I will start.
Yeah, we
So
call
this
them
happens.
goosebumps. In America,
Yeah,
we call them goosebumps, and it happens to everybody. The first 2 minutes of jitter and goosebumps are pretty normal for anybody. Wherever you are, there's always a little bit of hesitation, so it happens.
it's because I worked with a tech guy, technical person back in Calsaf. I interviewed him, and he was not answering any question.
Mm-hmm.
And one of his class fellow was my colleague, and he told me that he is very technical, and you should give him a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not because he is my friend, but he could be very useful for the company.
Yep.
And then I, instead of asking him questions, I just asking that this could be possible. I
Yep.
just make him comfortable to answer me. And
Yep.
after 15 to 20 minutes, he wasn't haven't answered anything in first 15 to 20 minutes. But after that, he get comfortable with me, that like we are friends,
Yep.
and we are talking now.
Yep.
And he started giving every answer that
Yep.
I did this thing like this one. And when he got hired, he was one of the key resource of the company. He became one of the key resources. So these are the areas, I think with this platform we can also guide to the youngsters that we are working, because we need to grow this platform with the local industry, and we can also engage the people out from the other countries to that one. Because with this COVID-19, the thing which I have learned, that we can we can take it as an opportunity, because I have been working remotely for almost 5 years, and most of my colleagues who are working in the US in different states, they all are working remotely.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same thing for us, but for many others it's a new thing. But with this we can reach out to so many people, because all the events are getting online.
Yeah,
and people are joining the events online because it you will save time of traveling and and managing the halls and all those things. So
exactly. Now, I think this is perfect opportunity, and we should definitely keep it going. We should not stop. I expect that, you pick up anything you like in next 2 weeks. Either it could be an introductory session for university students about something like a beginner technology like Azure, probably anything IT related, preparing for interview or anything like that. And we should present it. We should share it with our students and IT already working folks. So I think it was a great um, discussion today. I think we went 15 minutes over. I expect
yeah,
more
I
and
just
more
noticed
guys to
that thing.
join. Yeah, so we should continue this discussion. And one thing we can do is we definitely can post that in our Facebook and other social media. I'm not too much on Facebook, so you can post it, and I'll definitely like it.